Welcome to Donaldsonville, and more importantly, welcome to the West Ascension Early Childhood Learning Center. There's probably nothing more can be said about the importance of early childhood education, particularly in low-income communities, that I haven't already said 1,000 times. I do want to thank three people. One, Bill Dawson. If anybody knows me, I'm the ADD guy, a million ideas a minute. Bill's that engineer, very focused, and he lands the planes. And it's not hyperbole, it's the honest to God truth. I don't know if we're here without Bill and the efforts he did, and he's kind of one of those behind-the-scenes kind of guys. Libby Saunier, she was one of the first calls that we made when we set up the Early Childhood Center. Her expertise was invaluable. And Dr. Monique Winey, which I don't know if you know, you taught my daughter at Dutchtown. Yes. Is Quentin Taylor here, Chancellor from RPCC? If he's not, he's been a very big part of not just early childhood education, but our whole approach to the West Bank. And he was invaluable setting up the vocational facility at Donaldsonville High School. And if you followed anything about our Cradle to Career program, you know that's the two bookends, early childhood education and vocational training. Because whether you believe it or not, in 10 years you will not recognize this city, and that's a fact. And the only way we can screw it up is if everybody doesn't benefit from this economic boom, and that's where we are. There was nothing about this early childhood education center that kept me awake at night. I knew we had the money to do it. I knew it was the right idea. It was what needed to be done. It was the first fix for Donaldsonville. But what did keep me awake is who's going to run it. And so every time we would meet stakeholders and we'd sell them on the idea, towards the end of the presentation, I always get hit with the question, you know, who's going to run this, DS? And I never had an answer. I always had a response. And my response was not parish government. And that made everybody comfortable. I said, but we're going to find somebody, and we're going to go out and find either a university or somebody who's ran an early childhood center. So we reached out to several universities. Some called us back, some didn't. But I was browsing through the Nicholls State website, and I noticed they had an early childhood center on campus. They had a master's degree in early childhood education. And I had a friend of mine, my neighbor actually used to work for Dr. Clune. So I texted Alex and said, you know, Alex, can you connect us with the early childhood education expert at Nicholls? And 15 minutes later, I get a call from the president of Nicholls State University. But the impressive part was that he was very excited. I remember after spending a whole day on campus, we got in the truck. Bill looked at me and said, we got an answer. I said, yep, how fast can you get that CEA ready? And so it's been a pleasure. And I told Heidi this, and I tell Dr. Lazang all the time, this is a nice building, and I'm glad we did it. It's great for downtown Donaldsonville. But it's the people we put in this room that's going to really drive the change and move the needle. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start the speeches because I know Bobby's itching. I see he's got 14 pages of notes. So with that, Clint, I have you listed as the first speaker.
Thank you, John. Many of you don't know, and before I start to read, because John wrote my speech, as he indicated, I did some corrections because John seems to get carried away at times. But nonetheless, when we first started my journey as parish president, when we got into the room, the question is, okay, we're going to take care of drainage and roads and recreation. What are we going to do to impact people's lives? And John Diaz took that to heart and started this journey, to be honest, in the room in that meeting, and has been a part of it ever since. And I'm engraving the plaque myself, so it's going to take a little time. But absolutely, I can't tell you this wouldn't be a reality without John, and that's a fact. He's the one that flew up to Michigan and the Prairie preschool study, dug into the data, and just did countless hours and days of research and continue to do so. Was responsible for bringing all the stakeholders together. I focused on roads, drainage, and recreation. But we couldn't have done it without you, John, so thank you. So what a great day to be a resident in Donaldsonville in the parish of Ascension. Everyone here today should be Ascension proud. Today, here's the grand opening of the Donaldsonville Early Childhood Learning Center, which is important for 1,000 reasons. However, Colleen limited my speech to 5 minutes, so I can only talk about two main reasons. One is it represents the first fix for Donaldsonville. And when I say fix, I don't mean the first and only fix. or the first and last fix. I mean the first fix for many more fixes to come. It is the first fix because it addresses many of Donaldsonville's systematic problems where they began, at birth. There is no doubt in my mind that when these 72 kids start kindergarten in 2029, their bodies will be healthier, their spirits will be happier, and their brains will be better prepared to learn. 2, this endeavor demonstrates beyond a shadow of a doubt that when public-private partners are formed and silos come down, we can move mountains. Thanks to Ascension Parish School Board, the Sheriff's Office, the Library Board, the City of Donaldsonville, and Nicholls State University. This does not happen without you. Also, a special thanks to CF Industries for making a monumental investment in not just early childhood education, but the parish as a whole. CF Industry has played a pivotal role in our efforts to create a clear path from cradle to career for many students who are born into a situation where that path is far too often not so clear. CF's investment in early childhood education and the vocational facility located at Donaldsonville High School represents the 2 bookends from our cradle to career efforts. Think about it, Morris. Into this building is the coming weeks could not only one day work at CF's new blue ammonia facility, but they could retire from CF's new blue ammonia facility. Let's give a huge shout out to CF Industries for their commitment to education and the workforce development in Ascension Valley. Let me close by reminding Councilman Joseph, Mayor Sullivan, members of the City Council, and the entire West Bank that today Ascension Parish has $21 billion, it's billion with a B, in industrial developments, ITEP approved and pending final investment decision. That represents 32% of all industrial development in the state of Louisiana. For a parish that only represents 1.7% of the state's population, 21 billion is a big number. It is almost half the entire state's budget. But here is what makes that number most impressive. More than half of the 21 billion in industrial developments are slated for the West Bank. Donaldsonville is trending. It is your time to shine. We have a real opportunity to make Donaldsonville a trendsetter again, a must-stop between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. And we can do it if every citizen, for all walks of life, is put into position to benefit from the industrial economic boom headed our way. Our investment in early childhood education and the vocational facility located at Donaldsonville High School puts us on that path. Thank you, and God bless.
Next, we have President Jay Clune, and if he talks about my grades, we will unplug the microphone.
We're very proud of John at Nicholls State University. We have several members of our leadership team in attendance here. Donaldsonville is of great interest to Nicholls State University. This is a big moment for Donaldsonville, the parish of Ascension, and certainly for Nicholls. Partnering with Ascension Parish in the development of our most valuable resources, our children, is at the core of the Nicholls mission. From the Nicholls team, I would like to recognize the work of Dr. Misty Lasang, Executive Director of Early Childhood Initiatives, and Ms. Lacey, absolutely. She is a star in early childhood education, and Ms. Lacey Crochet, Chief Innovation Officer, for their work on this project. Their expertise, passion, commitment to education have enabled Nicholls to be a part of today's festivities. I want to give a huge thank you to Ascension Parish and President Quitmont for this opportunity, for entrusting Nicholls to be a part of this endeavor that will transform the lives of this generation and for generations to come. John Diaz, today's MC, current government and public affairs advisor with ExxonMobil, Nicholls alumnus, and former chief administrative officer for Ascension, whose progressive vision for early childhood education launched this effort. Colleen Arsenault, Director of Health and Community Development in the Parish of Ascension, The health and wellness of this parish is in very good hands. Thank you. To Donaldsonville Mayor Leroy Sullivan and the City Council, who have made us feel welcome from the first days of this project, thank you for being partners and leaders. Bill Dawson, Special Projects Manager in the parish, your effort, guidance, and support of Nichols were instrumental to the success of this initiative. Thank you. Representative Ken Brass and all of the legislative delegation for their advocacy in crafting legislation authorizing Ascension Parish to allocate juvenile justice program funds to invest in early childhood education. We are most grateful. Ascension Parish Sheriff Bobby Weber, I'm glad I didn't follow you, Sheriff, whose partnership enabled the vision of investing in early childhood education. Thank you, sir. Thank you to Lexi Tanko, Vice President and Architect at Multi-Studio, for transforming this historic space into a beautiful facility for our children. A special thank you to CF Industries for their generously donating funds to this project and continuing to be advocates for children and families in Ascension. Thank you. We understand that providing education and guidance in the early stages of life leads not only to greater individual success, but overall improvement in community. Short-term benefits include better economic and social performance, higher retention rates, and fewer referrals to special education. Long-term benefits are higher graduation rates, increased learning potential, and an increased participation in the labor force. We would love to see this next generation grow up to be future colonels, but more importantly, we want them to be responsible citizens whose families are reinvesting in this community. We are so happy to play a role in the educational future of the children of Donaldsonville and are thrilled to be a part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clune, and just let me reiterate, Nichols may not have made it possible, but you will determine if this thing is going to be successful or not, and I really, really mean that. And very impressed with the staff you hired. Our next speaker was going to be Ken Brass, and he can't make it. He's in committee right now. I had an education committee, but let me just say a couple things about Ken. When Ken, we met with him, and he said, I'm on board, I didn't know he meant he was on board and was bringing $4 million with him. But that's exactly what he did. $2 million for the Early Childhood Center, $2 million for the vocational school, and that's one of those things when you're planning, you don't have in your plan, and it just walks in the door, and it's like, where did that come from? Next up is my favorite mayor, and now that Barney's retired, I can say that and not get in trouble. Mayor Sullivan.
Good morning. This is truly a wonderful day in the city of Donaldsonville. I want to start off by saying, as I entered the building and I saw all of these beautiful people, and I'm a little colorblind, so I don't really know the color of the shirt, but it's in between, I guess, a beige and a white or something like that, or a cream. But there were so many faces that I saw from the city of Donaldsonville. And that makes me extremely proud that people that live here can actually work here and help to educate our young people. When you look at the Bible in Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 18, it says, without a vision, the people perish. And if you look around this room, you see a whole bunch of visionaries. And we all can have a vision, but unless we come together, that vision doesn't mean anything, right? It won't go anywhere. If you look in the Bible at Psalms 133, it says, behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Unity is what brought everyone together. Unity is taking John Diaz and Bill Dawson's vision and making it a reality. Unity is Nichols State University coming on board. Unity is CF saying, yes, we're going to be a partner, we're going to invest in it. Unity is the sheriff saying, whatever it takes in order to make this happen, I'm on board. Unity is the parish president and the parish governor saying, yes, let's do it. Unity is also having Kevin Kelly to say, yes, you can buy this building, rent it, or whatever it is in order to make it happen. Unity is the Ascension Parish Library. Unity is all of those that have invested in this in order to make it a reality. See, all of the people that work here, they're dressed alike. That is not unity. That is uniformity. They are dressed alike, but in order to come together and work together, there has to be unity. This is what happens when the people in this community comes together and decide we're going to put whatever differences aside for the betterment of the city of Donaldson, for the betterment of the people of Ascension Parish. We all talk about the growth, but in order for the city of Donaldsonville to be able to take advantage of all of the jobs and all of the millions and millions and billions of dollars that's going to be spent here, our workforce have to be educated. It starts here. But a few weeks ago, Chancellor Taylor, we had the opportunity to cut the ribbon on the West Side Training Center at Donaldsonville High, where our children can go and learn those skills in order to be able to get good paying jobs. Get good paying jobs, that means that they can live here, they can work here, they can even play here. So we want to make sure that we have everything in order for people to want to come to Donaldsonville. As the mayor of the city of Donaldsonville, I'm proud to stand up here and say that this is a very great time in order to be the mayor for the city of Donaldsonville. And I just want everyone that's listening to know that Donaldsonville is open. We're open and we're ready for business. We're ready for the economic boost that is coming to the city of Donaldsonville. But it takes each and every one of you that's in this room and all of those that couldn't make it here in order to make this a reality. This is like a dream come true. But guess what? It doesn't stop here. We have to continue to work in order to make the city of Donaldsonville, the parish of Ascension, a better place. Sheriff, I wanted to be where your report would say we didn't have any traffic violation, we didn't have any type of crime. Traffic violation, we're gonna skip that, we can erase that. Hopefully there's a lot of traffic violations that's coming through the city of Donaldsonville. But the crime, hopefully because of the education that our young people will be getting, not just here, but like I said, at Donaldsonville High, crime will go down in Donaldsonville, in Ascension Parish, and this will be a community that we all can be proud of. I'm always proud of Donaldsonville because I was born and reared here. Thank each and every one of you. Thank Nichols for being a great partner. I've come through this building on many occasions and just watch it develop into what it is now. This room is packed. So John, that means we still need to focus on that building on West Ascension campus. God bless you and God keep you as always, my friend.
Thank you, Leroy. Your leadership was invaluable in this process, and man, when I say it, I mean it. In 10 years, you will not recognize this city if we do what we can do. $12 billion is a lot of money. Sometimes we throw that B number around in Ascension and we forget the significance of it. Our next speaker, I was told that I would never beat $1 million out of. And I beat $1 million out of him. Honestly, I can't say enough about Morris and CF Industries and their involvement in the West Bank. It was funny, as we were going into the meeting where we were going to put the hustle on them, and we assembled a pretty good little crowd, and going into the meeting, Bill says, Diaz, where'd you come up with the $1 million number? I said, I don't know, it's a round number, and it sounds good. So, let's just go in there and ask for it. So with that, Morris Johnson, CF Industries plant manager.
Thanks, John, and that's not true. I never said that. It's always a tough gig to follow the mayor and be between the mayor and the sheriff because they're so passionate, great speakers, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to keep it short for Bobby. So CF Industries, the Donaldsonville complex, has been part of this community, a place that we've called home for nearly 60 years. every day. Our employees come here, right here on the West Bank, to meet the mission that's really remained unchanged since our inception more than 75 years ago, which is, to provide clean energy to feed and fuel the world sustainably. And we understand how important it is to invest in education in the local community. It's imperative. It's the only way that we can ensure that future generations have the skill sets necessary to be successful. We're delighted to be here today at this wonderful Early Learning Center. I think it sends a tremendous message that now even the youngest residents, children in this community, will get the opportunity to be better equipped for kindergarten and their journey in education going forward. So it's awe-inspiring to see. I came here a little over a year ago. It looked nothing like this. It's really impressive. CF remains committed to partnerships just like this because we understand how important it is for us to get involved and provide for students to have a pathway and a pipeline for future high-paying jobs that are coming right here on the West Bank. We're excited to be a small part of that. It's been tremendous watching this thing from concept to where we are today. And I have to highlight a number of the speakers that you've heard, elected officials. I've heard them speak before. It's very inspirational. They're very passionate about this subject. John, you heard it in his voice. This is what the commitment, the level of commitment that it takes to come from a good idea to where we are today. And I think that's going to be a model for everyone to look forward to in the future. So I want to congratulate everyone that was involved with this project. We look forward to seeing its success in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Morris. Once again, I can't say enough about the public-private partnership we have with CF Industries. If you look at the history of government, we have a good track record of funding programs. Private sector has a good program, a good track record of providing solutions. And so we think this partnership is going to help us. You're going to help us keep us accountable and make sure we actually deliver on what we promised. The next speaker, everybody get comfortable. Is Sheriff Bobby Weber, and I can't say enough about his support for this effort. My first check off when me and Bill decided to run with this was with Clint. My second check off was with Bobby Weber. For those of you guys who don't know where we got the funding for this, it was originally money dedicated to build a juvenile prison, basically a prison for kids. And I kind of thought that was maybe a dumb idea for a whole host of reasons. So I thought my second visit was with Bobby, and I sat down with him and I laid it all out. And he says, well, I'm not going to run a prison. I said, parish government's not going to run a juvenile detention center either. He said, but I don't know anything about early childhood education. I said, I don't either. We'll figure it out. And he was brave enough to let us go out and figure it out. And so, Bobby, I do appreciate it. And I think you have 45 minutes. So. Thank you.
Thank you, John. There's still a need for a juvenile justice center. I just don't want to run one. You would hope there would never be a need. So it was a challenge when John would approach me and say, let's take some of that juvenile justice money that's sitting aside to run a juvenile facility, and let's try to invest it on the front end, trying to keep kids out of the justice system. Well, you didn't have to talk long to convince me that that was a great idea. And every once in a while I get to speak at a forum that's mostly education. He said, why is the sheriff here? Because I had a chance to speak at Donaldsonville High School, because we do feel like we played a role, a significant role here. And I want to first of all thank Dr. Ray for being here. Jay. I'm just a little payback on you. And I remember meeting you for the first time at our Wagson at our Sheriff's Park, and so excited. It was just a few days ago, right? It was April 1st. April Fool's Day. And that's also my anniversary, work anniversary, so I began my 39th year just a few days ago on April 1st. But a lot of my time was spent in Donaldsonville, but it goes back even further than that. When I was 11, 12, 13 years old, I worked here. Lemons Building, Lemons Farm Supply, right across the street, mostly in the tractor dealership. So I have a lot of history with Donaldsonville, and to see this historical building continually doing historical things like this early childhood education. I'm pretty excited. With my 39 years in the sheriff's office, I have never been more excited about the future of Donaldsonville and the things that we are doing here. If you remember Donaldsonville at the turn of the last century, now I'm not talking about the 21st century, I'm talking about the 20th century. Donaldsonville was the place to be. You know, barely heard of Gonzales, barely heard of the east side. Donaldsonville was it. Then you close by your Lafourche, then you build an interstate system, and you build a US 61 on the east side, and things dwindled away. But I think this century, Mayor, it's coming back. It's coming back in a huge way, and we need to be ready for it. And John talks about that B number. We used to talk about M's, millions, now you're talking B's in the billions. We can still squander that. We could squander it if we don't do it right. And I had an opportunity yesterday to be at the Sheriff's Park. And a lot of the staff members from the Early Childhood Education Center were there doing some orientation, all the things you're doing to get ready for this great opportunity. And I have to say, y'all are a rowdy bunch. Y'all were rowdy then, and then I come in today and y'all doing cheers in the back. So I know you're ready for it. Darryl, LaTanya, Jeff, and Ms. Wanda, thank y'all for being here as part of this staff. And I am looking forward to continuing to work with the Early Childhood Education Center. I will say this, as we continue to move forward, I think we have kind of stopped the insanity. And Mayor, you said it right. And it's hard to follow you, Mayor, because when you get maybe stuck up here behind a mic, you just start quoting the Bible, because, you know, being a minister yourself, and you just pull out another verse, and you keep going. But I've never been so excited about this, because it seems like not that long ago when law enforcement was taking kind of a beating, we decided to do community outreach in a big, big way. Let's not hide from our community. Let's get out there. Let's buy an old school. Even if we had to tear the school down, let's build a park. Sheriff's not supposed to run parks. Sheriff's not supposed to do it. We did that. We wanted to do that. And we think what we created at the Wagons Pack Center at the Sheriff's Park, we think it made a difference. And John would call me and say, Bobby, what are y'all doing back there? What are y'all doing for kids? What is prime time reading? What are y'all doing with grandparents raising grandkids? Let's go take a look at it. And you toured the place, and a lot of you toured that place. And so, you know, let's build upon that. And the building upon that maybe help you create the idea of this Early Childhood Education Center. And we were so glad to be a small part of that. But just a few weeks ago, we had a special session, legislative session on crime. Okay? I hope that we never have to have another special legislative session on crime because of the things that we're doing here. It's less likely that we would have to do that, because I would rather stand here and talk to you about opportunities for a 17-year-old rather than what jail that 17-year-old should have to go to. I would rather stand here and talk to you about the early childhood education of the young here, rather than talk to you about child abuse that we have to see way too often. I would so much rather sit here and talk to you about prime time reading at our Sheriff's Park rather than basic reading behind bars that we have to do sometimes. So we can do this two ways. I think we should all prefer to do it in a way that we can do it proactively, do it before our kids get in trouble, and I do think this is going to turn some things around. So to be here today to watch this develop, I'm hoping this happens, because I always talk about overcrowding at the jail. I want this to be overcrowded. I want this early childhood education center to be overcrowded, because I want to build a second campus that we can put children in, and I want the jail to be less overcrowded and do the things right here. And Mayor and Doctor and Clint, I do think, and CF, thank you so much for your huge donation. I don't know how John, I've been trying to beat you out of $1 million, can't seem to do it. So thank you, everyone, and I am so proud, and our staff is so proud just to be a small part of what's going on in Donaldsonville now. We'll continue to be, hopefully, a part of the solution and never part of the problem, and our commitment is to always work with all of you and all of our community members to make this happen and make this a reality, because it will become a reality. And we didn't get a chance to talk much about you, John. You drove it. You're gone now, you're working for the big company, but since you was with Parish government, and I knew you when you was a lot younger, but you drove this project. And you never slept. You were sending me emails at 3 o'clock in the morning. We would meet all the time, and Clint is right. You wanted to do drainage, roads, and all the essential things, and you said a couple of years ago, you just turned John loose with that other stuff. And that was a smart thing to do, because you turned him loose with his creativity, and you put a team around you, and you was able to build a team in the community. So you get a lot of credit for this, and not too many people give you that credit. You deserve it. Wonderful. Have a great day.
He left 5 minutes on the table, and that's never happened. Real quick, before we close, where's Heidi Trosclair? Can you bring the whole team up here? Everybody. So I said earlier, it's nice to be in a nice building, but a nice building doesn't move the needle. The people inside the building move the needle. Heidi, this is more than a ribbon cutting. We're handing the baton off to you, because we've handled all the political shenanigans and all the deals that needed to be cut to get us here, and it's all you now. So don't screw it up.
All right. So on three, say